Hi, in today's video, I'm going to discuss about the high-level system design in context to the logistics management application, followed by the kind of requirements which will be involved in it. This is the video I'm making for for two kind of people. It is both for technical people as well as for the people for business analyst kind of roles as well. Because system designing, understanding the design of the system by understanding the high level requirements and detailing those into low level requirements is also one of the key and prominent element when we are developing the application from the architecture point of view. So understanding the system followed by the detailed understanding over the requirements, whatever are required for any application and in context to logistics management system is what something which people have to know. So in regard to that, I'm just making this video wherein let me explain you about what logistics management system is all about first, so that because this is something useful to the people who doesn't have any idea over this. Normally, if there are any goods, right? So let's say there are different goods which manufacture in different parts of the location. So whatever the goods were manufactured and all, that must be sent through a supply chain management process to the retailers so that retailers will sell the goods, right? So in between, whatever the transaction, whatever the interconnectivity which involves, because either it can be relating to the interconnected processes, or it can be technology, it can be resource, which will be used to optimize the movement of the products from manufacturing to right, so end users and all everything. So this is what generally on high level note when we talk about the detail about the logistics management system is all about. Now, when we are working on the system design point of view, because there are two things which I must tell you, because as in the beginning of the video I told you, right? So one is about the design level issues, one thing which we need to be focused more on. At the same time, understanding over the requirement point of view. Now, when it comes to the effective system design, if we want to develop, normally whatever the logistics management system, whatever are we developing requires a comprehensive understanding over the inventory management, right? So because inventory like stock position, right? So inflow and outflow of the stocks, etc. At the same time, transportation means goods transportation I'm talking about. At the same time, whatever the warehouse operations we have, right? So information systems integration, all these things are involved when we are working on the system design, because understanding and the detailing over the system design is one of the key and important element. So when it comes to the system design, right? So when it comes to the system design point of view, right? So system design requires the following ones. System design requires the following ones. The first one about comprehensive understanding over inventory management system. This is the first thing which we must be knowing. So because as I told you, inventory management system is one of the key and important element when we are working on the application. This is generally this inventory management system is something which we have to be known with. So because managing of the stock, right, stock position, everything comes under the inventory management system point of view. So next inventory management system, once it was done, the next is called transportation. So I'm talking about transportation in context to the goods, whatever the goods are we transporting from manufacturer to the wholesaler, retailer, right? So to the seller, to the end user, right? So this is also one of the key and important element we have to be focused more on. Next, at the same time, warehouse operations. Warehouse operations means when there are any goods which was ordered and all that. So we have to maintain the goods. We have to update the goods and all. This is where generally warehouse operations and all everything will come into picture. So once warehouse operations and all that, so the fourth point, which is important about the information systems integration, because how these systems are integrated, right? So this is also one of the key and important element we need to understand, right? So because how the different systems, because if you have taken a logistics as a high level note, means supply chain process of the goods from manufacturer to the end user, all that. So there are different systems. There are different information systems which are interconnected, which normally uses for different, like either it can be for inventory management as separate, or it can be warehouses and all everything as separate. So integrating these information systems and all everything is one of the key and important element here. So why is this required for us to do? Because when we are going to develop any application, it's always important for us to understand the kind of benefits, right? So what kind of benefits will it requires, right? So what kind of benefits is it needed, right? So something which normally one should be, because end of the day, if it is not solving the purpose of the customer, then there is no value for the development of an application what we are going to develop. So hence we need to understand whatever the benefits due to this one, right? So due to this logistics management system or something of that sort. So if you have taken the benefits into consideration, so if you have taken, yeah, so if you have taken the benefits into consideration and all everything. So wherein the first point about it streamlines the processes, means whatever the processes are we following and all everything, this can be streamlined. That is one of the key and important element which we have to be focused more on. So we need to streamline the processes and all everything can be seen. At the same time, wherein it can be used even to minimize the cost can be minimized, so that because operational cost and all everything should be controllable, right? That's where generally cost will be improved. At the same time, enhancing the visibility. Right, so enhancing the visibility so that whatever the uh, operations we are performing here and all everything must be so visible to the people, whoever wants to have a clear understanding over all that stuff. At the same time, this will also improve the overall supply chain performance. Also improve the overall supply chain performance. So these are the different benefits which normally we have whenever we are working on the logistics management system. So when being into understanding from the business analyst point of view in context to the requirements we wants to gather, or else in connect to the role of a design level perspective, when you are into the technical person, when we are involving in understanding about the system design of any application or something like this, is always important for us to understand about the kind of benefits which are essentially important, because end of the day, return of investment is the ultimate target here, right? So customer is spending some X amount of money. Against to that, what are the solutions are we going to provide? Must solve the purpose of the customer. This is where something which we have to be focused more on. So in this context, first of all, we need to understand the high level workflow, right? So high level workflow over how this logistics management system works, right? So that sort of understanding is essentially required. So in this regard, normally, this is where I'm talking about the system design I discussed with you in the beginning of my video, right? So system design, wherein we can prepare some sequential workflow in context to the high level part, so that people will understand, because visualization is one of the key and important element where people can understand well in advance. Hence, how this can be visualized on a high level flow of the workflow and all everything is what something we do. For that, there are different tools we use to prepare the sequence diagrams or something like Star UML, Microsoft Visio, rational rows, right? So different diagrams were there, right? So different tools we use it. I'm taking one Star UML software, which you normally I take it for the training for all the people, so that this tool I have taken, right? So Star UML, this is a tool which is majorly used to prepare UML diagrams, as it can be of use case diagram, it can be sequence, component, deployment, class, object, right? So activity, right? So state chart diagram, right? So a lot of diagrams can be prepared in this regard. So to have a high level workflow of a particular logistics management system, herewith I am going to prepare a sequential process so that people can understand well, right? So you can go to model over here, add diagram. Here you can see there is an option called sequence diagram where we have to identify three lifelines first. The first lifeline is called e-commerce, because assume that this is an application which is connecting to an e-commerce online sales I'm talking about, right? Let us assume from that context, right? E-commerce is the one thing which I'm taken. Second was logistics system, which was taken here. Next was customer, right? So next was customer, right? So these are the three important things which I have taken over here, right? So one is about e-commerce, second was about the logistics system, third was customer, right? So these are the three things which we have taken into consideration over here. Now, whenever we try to understand about the e-commerce and all that, so first of all, there is an option where we need to generate an order. Let's say, for example, a person who wants to generate an order over here, right? So generating an order is one of the key and important element we need to understand with. So how are we going to generate the order and all everything is what something which we need to be connected with. So first of all, e-commerce, through this e-commerce and all logistics system, here you can see there is an option called message, wherein you can connect here. So order generate, right? This is the first thing which normally so which generally happens here, right? So order generate is what something first we have to do it. Next, we need to understand about the kind of shipment request generate, which normally we need to connect with, which is connect to the logistics systems and all that. So that we have to create one more messaging. So once we have generated an order and all that, we need to generate shipment request generate. Shipment request generate is what something which we have to be generated with. So now, whenever we have sent a request to the logistics systems, logistics system will give you a reply message to us, right? So what kind of reply message, right? Acknowledging the request. So acknowledgement of request is what something which we have to do with, right? So shipment request generation is what something which we have to do. So followed by this, whatever the acknowledgement of request is that something required and all everything is what something we have to do. Next, once acknowledgement request was received to the e-commerce and all everything, logistics systems has to deliver the goods to the customer. This is where generally we must be knowing about the delivery to the customer, right? So this is where something which we considered and call it as delivery to customer, we call it as. Right, so delivery to the customer is what something which normally we call it as in context to that. After that, finally, whatever the delivery status in e-commerce portal, right? Let's say, for example, delivery was received by the customer successfully, wherein here we get the delivery status. Here we get the delivery status. So this is what generally an high level flow in context to the workflow diagram, especially in reference to the logistics system, right? So whatever are we going to develop, logistics management system, all that. But when we are developing any design, or else when we are trying to understand about the design specification or requirement level understanding, etc., it's always important for us to understand the kind of assumptions which are involved in it, right? So what are the assumptions? Let's say, for example, this is the system we are designing for a large scale logistics company, because logistics company which is larger in size, what are the services they are offering to their customers and all everything will also be in higher level, right? So assume that, right? So these are all the assumptions. This is the assumptions which are required even in the system design level. At the same time, whenever we are trying to gathering the requirements, we need to consider all this stuff. This is where assumptions come into picture. Second, when company we are interacting with e-commerce platform, let's say we are connecting to different e-commerce platforms like Amazon, Flipkart, and all everything. At the same time, when we talk about one more assumptions, I can say, for example, when there is a shipment mode, are we talking about this shipment mode reaching to the customers, maybe by road or by air or by ship or something like that, right? Across the these are the different shipment modes we have. So at the same time, whenever there are any system designs we are going to create, one of the key and important element we need to be understood here is that what are the system are we going to generate, the kind of system we are going to handle over here should have a possibility to address different issues, something relating to the accuracy part, or if there is any kind of pin code errors do we have, or else if there is any kind of tracking anomalies we have, right? So all these things can also be taken into consideration in context to the assumptions point of view. So these are few assumptions which I'm telling you, right? So these are all different assumptions we need to keep into an account when we are going to develop an application, right? So from the design level point of view, even from the requirements point of view as well. Now, what are the different components are we going to use? Okay, so what are the different components are we going to use here is what something we have to know with. So there are different components we are using. So different components are we using over here. The first one is about e-commerce platform. E-commerce platform is one of the component we are using, because normally e-commerce platform represents the platform like Amazon, Flipkart, right? So at the same time, where the customer places orders and all, right? So this is where generally this was. Second one is about logistics systems, right? So this is where generally are we talking about logistics system. This is basically a core system which processes the core of orders we have, right? Assigning shipment modes, calculating some ETAs, right? So prices, generating AWS, monitoring shipments, updating the tracking system. All these things are comes under this logistics system point of view. And the third component, which is called customer. When we talk about the customer, the end user who receives the shipment and all everything are comes under the considerations over here. So these are the things which normally we need to understand whenever we are talking about the components. Either e-commerce platform, either it can be logistics systems, it can be customers, right? So all these things are comes under this category. At the same time, whenever we are talking about the modules from the design level perspective or to understand about the requirement perspective, because these can be translated the design requirements, but because unless until if you have not specified the proper design and all, requirements documentation would be something difficult, right? So because if you have prepared the design, based on the design, their documentation, whatever we require to write will become much easier. This is where generally we need to understand this part here. Now, on this regard, generally there are different modules we prepare, like something like order management system, right? So which majorly focusing on the orders of the customer, right? So all this stuff. At the same time, it can be a warehouse management module, right? So managing the warehouses and all that. So it can be a transportation management module. It can be inventory, right? It can be reverse logistics. It can be freight management, or it can be for any reporting and all, right? So analytical reporting modules. All these things can be prepared over here. Now, when you talk about, these are all something which I can consider and call it as a modules, whatever the modules we have, all that. So whatever the modules are we talking about, right? From the requirement point of view, for a business analyst point of view. But whereas in context to that, if you want to understand about the low level design part, because it's not only about the high level design, we must be knowing about the low level design part. Low level design, I'm talking about the database scheme, because when we are creating a logistics management system, there is some database which normally we create. Different databases will be created over here, right? So what are the database creations we are going to do? All these things are essentially important, so that there are different tables we create. For example, we are creating a table for order, right? So where in this table order, like we need to know about order ID number, at the same time merchant ID, created it, updated, right? At the same time pickup center ID number, delivery center ID number, all these things are freight ID number, all these things are comes under the order point of view. Next, one more table called freight, right? Where in this, right? So when it comes to the freight and all, the ID number we have taken in context to the pickup center ID number or delivery center ID number, our transport ID number, our mode of transport, all these things are comes under the freight point of view. So next table is called transport, right? So transport is also, right? So ID number, transport ID number, either it can be vehicle number, it can be category, etc. All that. Next, when it comes to the table in context to the uh, customer's point of view, right? So we need to know about the name and address of the PIN code, order ID number of a particular customer who has raised the order, right? So merchant ID number. At the same time, all these things will be mentioned under the customer point of view. Next, at the same time, warehouse, right? So warehouse is also, right? So warehouse like pickup center ID number, reverse ID numbers, all that. At the same time, one more table will be created for inventory. Right? So we are going to create one more table called inventory and all, right? So wherein we need to mention about order ID, merchant ID, customer ID numbers, all that. So these are the different tables which can be created in context to the database schema I'm talking about. When you want to talk about database schema and all, these are the low level designs which normally, right? So table for order, freight, transport, customer, warehouse, etc. All these things can be prepared by us when we are developing an application. This is how generally, in a high level note, if you try to understand about logistics management system when we are developing an application. So in context to the design, system design level point of view, at the same time from the requirements point of view, Again, as I'm mentioning and repeating the same, this is something useful for the people who are into the business analyst side, at the same time who are working or about to work from the design architecture level, people who are in the technical side, who are moving towards architecture side, right? So and all everything. So these people, so this video is something useful, I believe. So this is all about this video. If you have any questions, if you have any training needs and all, please reach out to the contact details, which will be posted in below to this video. Thank you.